Hi there, welcome back to the YouTube channel. We're back again, carrying on looking into Spider-Man this week, and we're kicking off the week with Peter Parker, if you're playing in paper or if you're playing on MTGO or Magic Arena. Surris, Spidersilk Innovator. 1 and a white for a 0/1 human scientist hero. And when Peter Parker enters, you can create a 2/1 green spider creature with reach token, or you can pay, and then you can pay 1 green, white and blue to transform Peter Parker. Now, the upside with these is, which transforms into the Amazing Spider-Man, but you can cast Peter Parker, as I was trying to say before I paused the video to get the right picture up. You can cast Peter Parker or the Amazing Spider-Man because you've got a casting cost on the other side of the double face card for this one. So you can pay 1 green, white and blue for a 4/4 and have the Amazing Spider-Man out with Vigilance and Reach. And then each legendary spell you cast that's 1 or more colours has web slinging. Now, I'm going to be 100% honest about this. I actually did some thinking in my head. The first time you cast it, it's better off casting the Amazing Spider-Man side with this deck. And then when the Amazing Spider-Man gets killed off, you're still going to pay 4 mana for Peter Parker to come back in and give yourself a 2/1 but a 0/1. And then it's really easy to transform them back into the Amazing Spider-Man. Because it is, for this deck, the Amazing Spider-Man side that you really need face up when you're playing. Obviously, the alternate art one from MTGO and MTGA is there. It's exactly the same card. I'm not going to show that off today, so it's just going to get too confusing. That's the same with a few of the other videos this week. So bear with me, but we'll leave these two up on the side. And this is what today's deck really does look like. So, I'm going to be honest, I've gone a little bit over the top with the creatures on this one because I think there's just too many good legendary creatures that we can use the Amazing Spider-Man's web slinging ability for, but you need support cards to go alongside it. So we've got creatures that are tapped, so we can return them because of the web slinging ability when we get there. We've got Absence Pilgrim, Birds of Paradise, Delighted Halfling, Elvish Mystic, Fine Order Elves, Landwire Elves, and Noble Hierarch. They all help us get there. They all give us a creature that we can return for this web slinging cost, because remember, you may cast a legendary spell when you've got the Amazing Spider-Man up for its web slinging colours. That has 1 or more colours that has web slinging for green, white and blue. So that's what it costs you to cast. So you do need to tap creatures to do it. These will help you do it. Now, we've got a few other little benefits in here. So Yoshimaru, the Other Faithful, this seemed a bit of a no-brainer. We are going to be playing a lot of legendary creatures in this deck, so making this as big as possible as we go along seemed like a plan. Bloom Tenderer, give us more ramp. So if we've got the Amazing Spider-Man in play, this will tap for all 3 colours we need to activate the web slinging. Then you can play one of your legendary creatures for the web slinging ability and bounce the Bloom Tenderer. Not the worst plan in the world. It does slow down the Bloom Tenderer's mana production, but yeah, the way it is. I've put in Bristling Bill because, you know, who doesn't like having a little bit bigger legendary creatures with the +1/+1 counters. They're actually really quite good if you've actually cast Peter Parker and you've got the 2/1 screen spider out. Just making that green one, that 2/1 to like a 3/2, then a 4/3, does slow a lot of things down and does make some of the dragons that are still kicking around from Target Dragonstorm on MTGO think a little bit longer about attacking when you've got a reach blocker. Hope S-Time makes an appearance as well. We've needed a little bit of lifelink, and this seemed like a reasonable one to have for me. Same with Thrasios, Triton Hero, so we can do some scrying and get the cards we really want. Abu, Ancestral Echo is always fun, because we've got some of the creatures have got a few comes into play abilities at legendary, so you might as well have it trigger again when we can. The Calls for Crew Fix is purely here so we can play lands off the top of our library. It's not legendary, I'm aware of that. And hopefully fix our mana a little bit quicker. But we start getting to the things now. So Gregor, Shrewd Magistrate also makes an appearance. It's got Skulk. I can't remember what the original one was. Nope, gone from my head entirely, and I'm not pausing the video to look it up. But it's got Skulk, and when it deals combat damage for power, you get to draw cards equal to its power. So basically, you can't be blocked by anything with power of 1 or, well, 2 or greater. So you might be able to get a card draw off. We've got Gwaylan, the casting director, makes an appearance as well, just so we can have the whole role tokens appear. So I have the royal one, the sorcery, or the monster one. And then the first creature we can sneak in is Hell. Well, we don't have sneaking because Hell would cost the count, same as what it was cost for the web slinging side. But, you know, Helga's here anyway. When we cast great creature spells with mana value 4, greater, draw a card, gain life, and a +1/+1 counter. And then the more important thing is she also taps for more mana, which really does help us and gives us another target to use to bounce for the web slinging. One of the better targets we've got is Lauren of the Third Path, however. We can get this tapped once the Summoning Six is gone and web sling in another legendary creature. Bouncing this back to our hands, we can use the destroy target artifact and enchantment effect. Not the worst plan in the world. Shana, Purifying Blade, is just in, gaining small life, and hopefully we'll draw some cards if we pay the X mana to draw the cards we need. Going back to Final Fantasy, Tida's Una's Guardian makes an appearance. We can move some counters around, like the +1/+1s we get from Bristling Bill. And yeah, whenever we deal one or more creatures you control with counters on deal combat damage, we get to draw a card and proliferate. Fine, really nice. Uro, Titan of Nature's Wrath, is just a little bit of fun. I had one slot left. You can probably find something better to put in here, but I do quite like Uro for the additional land drop, card draw, and the 3 life gain. The escape's a little bit harsh in this deck, I'll be honest, but you know, it is what it is. Adrex and Nev, nice one we can cheapen with Web Slinging to help us get our token generation on the go. Athrimus, Slumbering Isle, is also in. Another way of ramping up to give us that mana, and you know, yeah, you don't really. Do you want to return this one? Yeah, you could do. It's not the end of the world. It just means it slows down again, but it does give you 2 mana, so however you feel. One of the good ones, however, to bring back from web slinging land is Captain Sisay. Go and find one of your bigger legends, put it in your hand, and then you've got a target for the web slinging ability to get that legend out a little bit quicker than what you would do normally. It's like, you know, Kadeen, Chosen of Krufix, draw the cards, get the mana. You know what this does. Miss Bumbleflower is one of the cards we do want to keep in play. This is where we start again to the point of the game where we are just going to try and keep our 4 mana cards in play, by the way, not bounce them as much, with maybe some exceptions. Miss Bumbleflower is here. We can ever cast a spell, target opponent draws a card, +1/+1 counter on a creature. It gains flying. Second time, draw 2 cards. Yep. Perry the Pulverizer gives a shield counter and a nice little bonus when we attack. Silvala, Eagle Trailblazer, just gives us all those nice mercenary creature tokens that can pump up some of our toughness as we need it to happen. Una, the Grand Summoner, is also in from Final Fantasy Commander Land. Add 1 mana of any colour. When you next cast a creature spell this turn, that creature ends with 2 additional +1/+1 counters on it. And then we get to move the counters around when things die. You know what happens. Obviously, one of the cards we would like to cheat in really quickly with the web slinging side of the Amazing Spider-Man is Tulane, Teller of Tales. We know how dominating this card can be when it comes as a standalone deck, and in this deck it's even more fun because you know you can return creatures you control to its owner's hand if you really need to. You know, I am looking at you if something, yeah. Well, I'm looking at any creature that's been targeted by a removal spell, basically, so hence why it's here. Gladriel, we can cheat in as well. Have another creature, gain some mana, gain some +1/+1 counters on each creature, scry, then draw. Karamatra, God of Harvest, is also nice as well to start getting those creature spells when we cast them. We go and get the forests and the plains out of our library. Kyla, Guardian Emissary, also comes in. We've got a fair few humans in the deck, as you can imagine. So, you know, put a +1/+1 counter on Kyla whenever a human enters the battlefield under our control. Then it pumps all other humans up by the number of +1/+1 counters. The Wandering Rescuer also is really nice. Now, this one's kind of key. Because of the Convoke ability, it means you do tap your creatures. And if you get this into play, giving all your other tapped creatures you have hexproof really does save them a lot of the time. Bear it in mind. Bonnie Powell, Clear Cutter. Yep, bouncing this, bringing this in off the web sling is not the worst plan in the world. Bouncing it if you need to is not bad either, especially if your legendary Ox has been killed off. You might as well get another one on the go. So bouncing Bonnie Powell's not the end of the world. Flock Chaser Phantom, another Convoke card, so we can make sure we can tap our creatures down to chuck in on the legendary side of the web slinging side from Amazing Spider-Man, and I'm getting tongue-tied, so sorry. But when it attacks, an expel you cast this turn has Convoke, so yeah, more ways of tapping creatures down. To make sure we've got those creatures coming into play, Rampaging Baloth is in to give us all the creature tokens off the land for, along with Avenging Zendikar, so we can attack with our 0/1 plant tokens if we need to. And then, yeah, okay, sacrifice some of the plants, but we can web sling in a legendary creature using them as a thingy. And then Golter and Marvarain. Yeah, This is a great one to web sling in. 12/12 trampler. When it attacks, we either get a really big creature or we get a whole load of vampire tokens, which we can then use when we tap them to do some more web sling with some of the other legends I've just talked about. The final one that kind of hits the spot for us is Coma, Cosmos Serpent. This is just ridiculous. We all know it's ridiculous. We all know what it does. But the little serpents come into play. We can attack with them and use them for web sling because, it's just a tap creature. It doesn't have to be a non-token creature. It just says you may cast a spell for its web slinging cost if you also return a tap creature you control to its owner's hand. Yeah, so I think you could probably play around with the creature selection a bit. These are the ones I want to play with. I think they work quite smoothly with the Amazing Spider-Man. So, hey hum, change them if you want to. But spells wise, we're in green. We need ramp. So Farseek, Nature's Law, 3 visits, Cultivate, a bit of board control with Wrath of God. And then Nissa's Expedition I put in because it does convoke, so it gives us some of the things we can have to, well, some of the tap creatures that we can then bounce to bring in some of the legends if we need to. So just another way of tapping things down. The instance provides some control, so an offer you can't refuse, Swords and Path to Exile, Arcane Denial, Counterspell, Mana Drain. Chord of Calling, just another way of tapping everything down so we can go and find something if we really do need to quite desperately. And finally, the March of the Multitudes. Another convoke card, another way of making sure we've got a whole load of things that are tapped, ready to do the web slinging side of things with our creatures. But at the same point of view, gives us a whole load of 1/1 white soldier creature tokens with lifelink. So yeah, go with that. Artifacts wise, a little bit of ramp, Elixir of Immortality to shuffle everything when it goes pear-shaped. Soul Ring, Arcane Signet, Felwar Stone, because the chances are you are going to be playing, unless you're really unlucky and play 3 Rakdos decks online or in your local pod, you're bound to be able to add either white, green or blue to your pool at some stage off this. And yeah, the Great Henge for the card draw, the life gain, the +1/+1 counters, you know what it does, it's all good. From there, just 4 enchantments in the deck. Aligned Hearts, because we should be casting 2 spells every turn realistically, and getting the rally counters, which are monks with prowess, which is fine. Okay, there's not that many non-creature spells in the deck. I mean, there's 19, 23 overall. But having it there and giving us those white tokens that we can attack with and then bounce if we need to is not the end of the world. We Ride at Dawn comes in as well, because it gives all our legendary creature spells you cast have convoke. So that's nice. And then whenever we attack with Peter Parker or the Amazing Spider-Man, we get to get a mercenary creature token. Another thing we can then use to tap and go with the whole web slinging side of things, which does work really well with the mercenary tokens, to be fair. Felidard Retreat, it gives us some cats and then eventually starts pumping all our creatures up for some of our proliferation side of things and giving them vigilance. And I really do enjoy this one. Use Social Engineering coming in from Edge of Eternities. It's, yeah, one of the better ones. I know everyone quite liked the Final Fantasy ones. You got the Chocoboos that got bigger when you dropped to land, but this one I just like because you can warp it out and give yourself some early blockers if you're in real trouble. Later in the game, it's pretty good as well. From there, 36 lands, nothing you wouldn't expect that isn't in a green, white or blue deck. Everything is in, as you can imagine. I did not play for once in a deck like this. I didn't play Temple of the False God. I didn't play Reliquary Tower in today's deck, so pat on the back for me for trying to avoid them a little bit more. But that is it. That is my take on Peter Parker or the Amazing Spider-Man, depending which side you cast. Is the creature base right? No. Do I need to look at it a bit more? Maybe. But I just picked the creatures I liked that go in a Bant deck. So that's why they're there. Please feel free to let me know in the comments down below what creatures you should think being included. I know I haven't actually included any more of the Spider-Man set in here. I'm very aware of that. But I'll be honest, none of them really excited me for this deck. And the ones that did already had web slinging. So I want to try and do something a bit different. But, if there's something you think I should have in the deck, leave a comment down below. Please hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, hit the share button. Even more if you could hit the cheer button as well. That helps me out. Thank you to all the people who have subscribed in the last week, by the way. I don't know if you've just been searching Spider-Man or you've been picking up because the algorithm's helping me. But the cheers seem to be having some effect. So I really do appreciate that. Thank you very much. And yeah, I'll be back tomorrow with actually another Spider-Man, but possibly not the one you're thinking of. But for now, thanks for watching. Take care. I'll see you tomorrow. Have a good one. Bye.